Hey everyone, it's Byte me back with another video, and since it's the end of 2020, I figured now would be a really good time to kind of go over my game collection as it stands here at the end of 2020. My game collection has grown a lot. Now, I've only been seriously collecting for the past 2 years, and you know, my game collection is a little over 240 games, I believe, right now. So, you know, it's grown probably twice or 3 times in size just in the past year alone, and especially in consoles. I've been focusing a lot on collecting consoles this year. Game collecting is a really great reflection of who you are as an individual, and that's why I'm really fascinated by, you know, seeing different kinds of game collections. Now, obviously, my game collection and game room, living room, is, you know, a lot smaller than I feel like a lot of other people's are. But even though that my collection is not the biggest out there, I'm still really excited by how it looks. So I figured in this video we kind of go over like what I collect, why I've collected it, you know, what my goals for collecting are. And then as well, I also want to talk about the tech side of things on the other side of the camera, just kind of go over how I have all of these different consoles hooked up so I can pretty much just plug and play and be ready to go. So I figured that'd be something fun to do, but without further ado, let's just jump right in. So up here, starting at the top, is my Sony PlayStation 1. It actually wasn't the first console I played on. I actually played on the NES and the Super NES first. But when we did get the PlayStation, I was just absolutely blown away by how the graphics looked. You know, 3D graphics they don't hold up very well, you know, nowadays, but they looked phenomenal at that time. And I'm still blown away by how some of those games really look, because some of those still hold a little bit of like, wow, I can't believe that that was possible back then, you know what I mean? So I don't have a lot of games for this system. My goals are kind of just more collect what I'm interested in. I also want to get generation-defining games like Metal Gear Solid, Grand Theft Auto, the Tomb Raider games, Crash Bandicoot, stuff like that. I'm missing a lot of that stuff in this collection. I haven't really focused a lot on PlayStation 1. That's something I want to change. I don't know if it's just because I never really had a lot of PlayStation 1 games, but PlayStation 1 is a great console to collect for. It's super cheap. The consoles are cheap too. If you're wanting to play a PlayStation 1 game on original PlayStation 1 hardware, PlayStation 1s are everywhere and they're cheap. Mainly because PlayStation 2s outnumber them by a lot, and with PlayStation 2 being able to, you know, play PlayStation 1 games, a lot of people don't want the original PlayStation. They want a PlayStation 2 so they can experience both generations of games. And the other thing is that PlayStation 3s, all PlayStation 3s will play PlayStation 1 games, something not a lot of people know. So, you know, they're kind of worthless, I guess, in that means, unless you're really after a nostalgia trip. And that's what makes this console so great to collect for. The games are cheap. You can play them on a wider range of consoles, so even if you don't want to play them on an original PlayStation, you can still play them on these other consoles, which is great. So, but yeah, like I said, I don't really have a lot of PlayStation 1 games. I do have 4, technically. One of them's just a loose disc, but I have Rayman 2, The Great Escape. Never played a Rayman game, so I'm looking to experience that at some point when I get the first Rayman. I have Need for Speed High Stakes, something I played a lot with my dad. That game, the lighting is just wow, like the skyboxes, they look amazing. Driver 2, not a very pretty game compared to Need for Speed, but still a very fun game. You know, my brothers and I would play the free roam a lot, but we never could beat the story, because in order to play PlayStation 1 games and be able to save them even on a PlayStation 2 console with a memory card, you still have to have a PlayStation 1 memory card. Something I did not know when I was a younger kid, and that explains a lot. But this game, a lot of fun. This game I'll probably never play again. This was a game I played when I was a kid. Obviously, I had this console when I was a super young kid, so games like this we played a lot of. But yeah, Blues Big Musical, I remember playing it a lot. Don't really remember if it was a good game or not, mainly because that was so long ago. But I saw this on eBay for a really good price, and it was in mint condition, which is really odd for a child's game to be in almost prestige condition. Like, this is in better shape than my Driver 2 game. I don't know if they just played it once and just went, meh, I don't want to play that again, or I don't know, maybe it just sat on a shelf. I don't know, but when I saw it, I knew I had to have it. It was such a great price, and it was something that was a big part of my childhood at the time. So another thing I need to do is I need to get like the original PlayStation 1 controller with no analogs on it. I do have like the first like DualShock on there. But I don't have any of that. I also want to get some of the weird odds and end peripherals for the PlayStation 1, but I do want to get the PS 1, which is like the newer PlayStation 1, just so I can kind of complete the console collection. I do want to try and find a dev kit one day. Dev kits are really, I see a lot of dev kits out there, and they're really cool colored. So I want to try and pick one of those up at some point. Moving on to PlayStation 2, which is the bulk of my collection, and the reason why is because the PlayStation 2 was the majority of my childhood gaming experience. So I experienced the PlayStation 2 for a good portion of my life, and during that time, man, the games that I played on that with my siblings as well as just by myself, it was a ton of fun. Now, the first PlayStation 2 I ever laid eyes on was my cousin's PlayStation 2 Fat, and we eventually ended up getting the PlayStation 2 Slim, and I was just blown away by how small it was compared to the original PlayStation 2. Still blows my mind to this day. But I was telling my girlfriend about all these great experiences I had at the time of playing these PlayStation 2 games with my siblings, and she went out and bought me a PlayStation 2 Fat for my birthday. So the PlayStation 2 Fat will always hold, even though I didn't have it as a kid, it will always hold a special place in my heart as the thing that, really got me into a hobby that I didn't know really existed. But something I've been wanting to focus a lot on this year is collecting all of the different models of the PlayStation 2. So like, I got some of the different colors here. I believe there was a pink one that was released in North America, but all I can find on eBay is PAL versions or Japanese versions. And there's a lot of different Japanese colors of the PlayStation 2, but I'm more interested in the North American market. Yeah, Japan got a lot of really cool shit, but I don't play Japanese games. It doesn't really interest me that. But I love the different colors they came out with in North America. I really wish they would have did more than just these, but honestly, I really like the silver. I love the white. When I got the white just a couple weeks ago, I was like, wow, it's sharp. It really stands out on the shelf, and I love it. So there's one more model of the Fat PlayStation I need to get that removes that iLink port on the front, and then I also need to get the newer black Slim that has like the half gloss. And then after I do that, I want to do a PlayStation 2 buyer's guide for 2021. I think that'd be a ton of fun, and considering I know a lot about the PlayStation 2, I feel like it'd be a perfect video for the channel. So moving on to the game side of things, obviously it's the bulk of my library. As far as collecting goes for the PlayStation 2, I'm really kind of going for a full North American set. That's a little over 1,000 games. I feel like that's pretty reasonable for someone like me compared to collecting all of the different Japanese games. And I'm not really interested in a lot of Japanese games. There are some really good Japanese themed or Japanese originated games that were released on the PlayStation 2, but the big issue with a lot of those games is that I would need a Japanese region PlayStation 2 in order to play them, or a PlayStation 2 test system, which would also be a really cool console to have on my shelf. But besides the point, I'm more interested in more of the North American stuff, and I feel like collecting a full North American set would be something that I would be really proud of doing. And the really cool thing about the PlayStation 2 is that it's really easy to get games dirt cheap. Like, yeah, you can get them for $2-3 at your local game store or your local thrift, or your local garage sale or whatever. But what I have found, the best way to get PlayStation 2 games is to buy bundles that come with like the console, the controllers, the games. And a lot of the times, like there was one bundle I got where I got a PlayStation 2 Slim with the carry bag, like an actual official licensed Sony PlayStation bag, along with 60 games. Now, half of those were pretty much ruined because it was his childhood PlayStation 2, but 30 games still. And after I had sold the console, the amount of games I had, I was still profiting about $200 off of the games that I had, mainly because he had some really good, rare, expensive ones that he didn't even know he had. For example, this game is really expensive. Don't know why, but it is super expensive, and I have a really nice copy of it. So That being said, bundles are the best way to get PlayStation 2 games, because a lot of those games I was getting for 50 or 60 cents a piece every time I buy a bundle. So bundles are definitely the way to go. You can almost always talk down the sellers down 25, $25-$30 on their asking price. So that's why I love collecting for the PlayStation 2. It's super cheap. PlayStation 2s are everywhere. You can pick them up super cheap. And yeah, it's just an all-around great console. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with how my PlayStation 2 collection is looking right now. It's actually really cool because I had a friend over earlier this year, and he was just looking through my PlayStation 2 games. He's like, "Oh, I remember playing this game. Oh, I remember this one. Oh my God, you have them all." Yeah, it was really cool to experience that. Like, it's really fun when people start looking through the shelf and they're like, "Oh, I remember playing that. Oh, I played this on Xbox. Oh, I played that on this other console." And then, of course, there's the people that played the PlayStation 2 growing up, and they're finding the old games they used to play, and it's really fun. So before we move on to PS3, I want to move on to the PSP. The PSP is the one console I did not have growing up. The Nintendo DS is actually the main handheld I had as a kid, along with a Game Boy Advanced SP. I always wanted a PSP, but PSPs were so expensive. There was a ton of games that you could get for them. I had a friend that I went to school with who had one, and it was just mind-blowing to watch him play Star Wars Battlefront 2, the game I loved so much on the PlayStation 2, on the go. I thought that was so cool. But yeah, I really wanted a PSP, so I went on eBay and I found one for a really fair price. Well, actually, I found two. So I found the PSP 3000. It was in pretty good shape when I got it. And then I also had the PSP Go. The box looks like crap, but this one's my main boy that I take out. I don't have a ton of games for the PSP. Really, I've kind of picked up a lot of games that I already have for the PlayStation 2, but I really wanted to just kind of get some of the games that I have already experienced on the PlayStation 2 so I could try them out on the PlayStation or the PSP. So moving on to the PS3, I don't have a ton of PS3 games, and I'm kind of ashamed of that. My bundle method would work really well for the PS3. The big problem is that most PS3s that you're going to come across, especially Slims and Super Slims, the hard drives are going to be going bad, especially in the Slims. I don't see it as much in the Fats, but in the Slims, I see it a lot, and I don't know why. I think it's maybe the particular hard drive. Maybe it's like a special model that just goes bad. I don't know, but a lot of the times when I'm buying those consoles, I better be getting them cheap, because if you're running into issues like your PlayStation 3 won't update, it's taking forever to boot, it won't download games, or like it just errors doing any of those things, normally that means the PlayStation 3's hard drive is going out. And 9 times out of 10, every single PlayStation 3 that I ever buy always has a bad hard drive. There was a refurbished one I bought from GameStop, probably 3-4 years ago. That one had a bad hard drive. I traded out 3 times, and each one had a bad hard drive. The last one I ended up keeping, put a hard drive in it, smooth sailing from there. I've picked up PlayStation 3s for free before with bad hard drives. So it's a lot of work to do those. So I typically don't, compared to PlayStation 2s, where I pretty much just kind of wipe them down, blow out the dust, make sure they work good, and send them on their way. PS3s are a little bit more involved. Switching out the hard drives on the Slims and the Super Slims is not that hard, but it does cost money. And considering how old they are, a lot of people aren't nostalgic for the PS3 yet, so the PS3s aren't really worth a lot of money. But I do have a lot of Call of Duty games for the PS3. I have 3 copies of Black Ops 2. Love Black Ops 2. I have a Steelbook, the standard version, and then I also have this combo pack with Black Ops 1 and 2. I thought it was 1 disc for both games. It is not. It is 2 discs. So now I have 3 copies of Black Ops 2 and 2 copies of Black Ops 1. Completely on accident. Something I just didn't know at the time. I have Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, which is pretty much unplayable online nowadays just because of modding. The Uncharted games, which I'm playing through Uncharted 1, and I am so surprised I haven't played the Uncharted games yet, and I am loving it so far. It is a ton of fun. So I can't wait to experience like the remastered ones. I'm wanting to play them on the original, just so that way I can kind of be like, oh yeah, this is how it was. You know, when people played this for the first time, you know, so many years ago, this is how they experienced it, and it still blows me away. But by how good the PlayStation 3 really looks on some games. PlayStation 3 games are kind of expensive still. Don't know why, but my local vintage stock, which is where I go to, you know, especially during sales to pick up some of my PlayStation 2 games, like for $1 or $2, they have games like this game, which I got for free because they screwed me over on a deal. But anyway, $17.99. The guy was like, basically what had happened was I bought a brown bag of like 20 mixed games for like $20. And it was like a buy one get one free kind of deal where you could get like a second bag of stuff. But I was like, I don't really, not familiar with these black or brown bag deals, so I'd rather just get the one. Basically, I opened up one case and there was no game. So I went back inside and I was like, hey, so one of the games didn't have a game in it. And he's like, well, just go to the shelf, pick one out, and I'll just clear it out and we'll call it even. So I went and got the most expensive game I could find on the shelf. So you best believe I got a really good deal on that. But yeah, a lot of their games are priced like that. Where like Jeopardy, for example, was priced at like $10, and I got it for $5 on eBay. So, you know, stuff like that. It's just like, why? As far as like PlayStation 3 consoles go, I do want to collect a lot of those. I want to collect a backwards compatible one. Maybe do like a rebuild video, because I'm curious if there's a way that I can keep it reliable. I've seen like a bunch of different recommendations of what you can do, like replacing the thermal paste, replacing some different components. So I might look into that to see if that kind of helps with some of the heat issues. Maybe I'll do some mods or something to kind of help pull heat away, because that is one of the number one killers of those consoles, is the heat. And that is something I do want to look into. I want to get like the different backwards compatible. I want the original one, the black edition. I want like the original fat, the slim, the special edition slims, but you know, that all costs a lot of money. So, you know, hopefully I can afford to do all of this at some point, but you know, that's just kind of my dream. But I do want to kind of get the basic consoles, you know, in 2021. So that's my main goal for 2021, is to get the base consoles. So like the backwards compatible ones, the slim, and the super slim. Also want to beef up my collection. There's so many great titles that were released on the PlayStation 3. So that's definitely something I want to focus on a little bit more. Along with getting more controllers. I don't have enough controllers, and they're hard to find. So there's so many fakes out there. It's ridiculous. But so moving on over here, this is my PlayStation 4 collection. It actually is way bigger than my PlayStation 3 collection. I've been focusing a lot on picking up PlayStation 4 games because, you know, with the PlayStation 5 being out, you know, now's a really great time to get on a PlayStation 4. And, you know, especially next year in the spring, in 2021, it's going to be a really good time to be picking up PlayStation 2s, or PlayStation 4s. You know, I saw a couple today that were in really good shape for like $100. A lot of people are trying to sell like their original PlayStation 4 for like $200 with like just the controller and no cables. And that is a really terrible deal. I'm wanting to pick up consoles for $100 or less with stuff, like with controllers, with cables, with some games. And you know, I've had some really good luck doing that, but you got to be quick on those deals because people like to jump on them super fast. But yeah, I have Watch Dogs, the Uncharted series. There is one Uncharted game I'm missing. I have a Resident Evil game, Red Dead 2, phenomenal game. The Star Wars Battlefront games, Battlefront 2, flat out. Like, if you're looking to buy a Battlefront game, and you're wanting to have kind of that old feel of the original Battlefront 2, get Battlefront 2, the new one. They've got it pretty good fixed now, where it's like not a bad game. I've played it quite a bit, and it's a ton of fun. And that's how I remember the original Battlefront 2 being. So if you're looking for a good Star Wars Battlefront game, get the second one. It is a great game. Spider-Man, another great game. Payday 2, kind of a fun co-op game if you got a couple friends. Until Dawn, fun little story, pick your own adventure kind of thing. It is a ton of fun. I've played through it probably 3 times trying to get the best ending. And man, it is very difficult. Very, very difficult. Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, Fallout 4, I also have Fallout 76. I'm working on a video currently about game developers that release games way too early that are broken and expect to just fix it later. Dying Light, really great game. I heard there's a Dying Light 2 coming out, so I might be jumping on that. Some of the Call of Duty games, Days Gone, Battlefield 4, yeah. And then, oh yeah, Cyberpunk. So I got that too. It is not very well optimized for consoles, and it's very sad, and I feel bad for anybody who had like the original PlayStation 4, a badass console, but that game is just demanding way too much from the original PlayStation. I'm sure once they get it optimized, it's going to look really good, but there's this weird grain on everything, and even after turning off the film grain settings, it still looks, ugh. It doesn't look great on PS4 Pro. So moving on to the Nintendo side of things, I have an NES, a Super NES, a Wii, and a Nintendo DS. Now, I don't really know how I feel about all of these. The Wii, I'm super cool with the Wii. The Wii's got a lot of fun party games. It's a fun console to have. My big problem is the NES and the Super NES. I grew up on these consoles, but there's not really a whole lot of desire for me to want to play new NES games, aside from the ones that I have played in the past. And honestly, a lot of these I'll probably end up selling. Like, for example, John Elway's Quarterback. I have no desire to play John Elway's Quarterback, or Fighting Golf, or Jordan versus Bird. I've never heard of those games, nor will I probably ever play them. I'll play Super Mario Bros. 3, I'll play the original Super Mario Bros., I'll play Contra, probably try to beat Adventure Island. I remember trying to play that game. Dr. Mario, that's just a standard Mario game to have. Ninja Turtles, of course, I remember playing that. Zelda, my dad had, but I never played it. But this one's got all the guides and stuff, how to beat it, so I might try. But I don't really have a huge desire to collect for the NES, so the NES is just one of those systems where it's like, honestly, I think I'm okay with not collecting any more games. I don't really have a ton of goals for it, and honestly, I mean, after I play those games, and if I don't really feel like I'm going to play them again, I might sell that console and free up the space for more PlayStation stuff. But, as I'm clearly a more PlayStation-leaning person, but, I care about these consoles because, they were the first consoles I ever really experienced as a kid, so, and same thing with the Super NES. There wasn't a ton of games I played on the Super NES. I remember playing Kirby. Donkey Kong Country was a game I loved playing a lot. So I did get all 3 Donkey Kongs so I could play through 2 and 3 because I'd only played through the first one probably a handful of times. But that's something I really want to do. I really want to play through those. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot of games I'm really interested in playing on the Super Nintendo. Everybody talks about how great of a console it is, and that might be true, but I don't know. A lot of those older games just don't grab my attention like like a lot of these other ones do. So I don't know if it's just because I grew up on the age of 3D graphics. I just don't have that same appeal to want to play a bunch of older games. But I don't know. And I'm not a super big platformer either, and that's what a lot of these games are, is platformers. So there's that. But anyway, I don't really know how I feel about these consoles, but they might leave the collection at some point. But who knows? The Wii, like I said, I love the Wii. The Wii, there's so many great games for the Wii, especially party games for 4 players. A lot of really fun games. Not to mention a lot of the Mario games, super popular. Mario Kart, very fun for the Wii. So those games will probably stick around. But as far as like my Nintendo DS, the Nintendo DS just doesn't have the same sparkle that the PSP has when I play the PSP. And I grew up on the Nintendo DS. I had the DS Lite, I had a black one. This one's like a Mario one. The other issue, and this applies to the NES and the Super NES and the Nintendo 64 when I had it, is that the games get faked a lot. And especially like a lot of those games, like the Mario games, those Pokemon games, all of those games, they get faked a lot. Even on the Nintendo DS, a lot of these games I didn't really play. So for example, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, never played that. I actually got that in a bundle, so I just kept it. Same thing with Where's Waldo, The Fantastic Journey. I would never play Where's Waldo, so don't know why that's in my collection. But the new Super Mario Bros., the Lego Star Wars game, SimCity Creator, I had it as a kid, I played through it, I never beat it, I never unlocked any other levels, mainly because there's like, it's like a European age where like rioting is a big thing, so I could never get the rioting under control. I finally got it under control, and now I'm playing it, and I finally unlocked, like, did all the different worlds that you could do, so I'm really happy with that. I did get it for the Wii, because I wanted to play it on the Wii. I saw it was available for both, so wanted to try it out. And then the other thing with Nintendo DS games, it's very hard to find games with the cases, and then it's also very hard to find somebody who even has a Nintendo DS that's even charged and willing to play with you. Because at the bare minimum, it would be fun if, you know, I could get a bunch of people together who have Nintendo DSs and we could all play together. Because Mario Kart DS, you don't need to have multiple copies of the game. You can literally have everybody download a copy of your game, and you could all play together. You didn't have to have, you know, 8 copies of Mario Kart DS. You just had to have one, and you could all play together. And games aren't like that anymore. But I can't find anybody who has a Nintendo DS to play with anymore. So playing Mario Kart DS by myself is not very fun. It is more of a party game. So don't really know how I feel about the Nintendo DS. I honestly might sell it. It just doesn't appeal to me like it once did. But like I said, I'm not a huge Nintendo guy. I did grow up on Nintendo. My dad bought a Switch, or not a Switch, a Wii. But yeah, I don't know. The Wii more resonates with me a lot more. I don't know if it's just because it's more fun to play as a party game or a party console with a bunch of friends. I don't know. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the gaming wall side of the room. Let's go on to the other side so you guys can kind of see what's kind of going on as far as the tech side of things. This is the entertainment side of the room. I don't think I've ever really shown this on a video before, but yeah, so I guess big elephant in the room, these 4 giant speakers. These are Electro Voice ELX 115s. There's 115 in each of them, a 15-inch woofer in each one, and then a horn across the top. I have 2 more smaller ones, they're 12s. The idea is once I have a dedicated theater, or like home theater space, is to have one in the corner of the room, like each in the corner, and then have the 2 smaller ones on the sides. So it's like a full home theater kind of experience. The only thing I'd need is an actual subwoofer. I'm gonna wait to do that because bass makes neighbors mad. The TV is nothing to write home about. It's just a 4K TCL. It's not like an expensive one at all. I got my controllers across the top here. I have my PlayStation 4 controller charger my girlfriend got me. My headphone holder. These are my old pair of headphones that I use when I game. These are old games that I've gotten that just kind of need to be, you know, given away in lots or something like that. But yeah, it's all hooked together. So if I grab my PlayStation 4 controller and I hit the power button, it all works through ARC, so it'll turn on the receiver and the TV. So all I have to do is hit one button and I'm pretty much ready to go. The only thing I do have to do is I have to turn on the Crown amp, which we'll talk about here shortly. So moving on down here, this is where all of the magic happens. So I have currently 5 consoles hooked up here. So I got my Wii on this side, which you guys, I guess you can't really see. Whoops, I accidentally hit the eject button. But yeah, so I have my Wii here, my PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 2, and Xbox One S. This is the receiver that runs everything. It's all configurable through the network. This has a ton of HDMI inputs, so that makes it really easy. And then at some point, I'd really like to get a projector. This has a second zone that I can share the output with, so I can be outputting to the TV, and all I have to do is hit a button, drop down the projector screen, and I'm pretty much set and ready to go. This is an STR ZA1100ES receiver. I love this receiver to death. Love Sony receivers. They're amazing. I have all of the inputs on the remote. So if you press the button, it'll tell you what that input is. So this one's PS4. I have it labeled for the PS3, the PS2, all that stuff. The really cool thing about this receiver is it also does component and composite in. My PlayStation 2 is running through component, and the Wii is running through composite. So obviously I want to have the best experience on my PlayStation 2. So that's the way I wanted to have it set up. The Crown amp runs these speakers. Right next to the Wii I have this headphone jack. This allows me to plug in a pair of headphones. So essentially I can control the volume through my receiver. So I can just plug in my headphones to a headphone extender, and I can play on the couch without having to worry about having to turn these on. This is great for late at night gaming. This was my old solution for the PS3, where it uses the old AV set, and I just hacked off the left and right channels and put it into a headphone jack. Did a really great job on this cable. It's very unfortunate that you can't change the volume. So I decided that there was a better way for me to do that, so I went ahead and did that. This is my PS3 Slim. This little guy has been doing a lot of trooping for me. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive in it from my PlayStation 4 Pro, and I bought that. And this also had a weird disc like grinding noise. When you put a disc in, there's this metal plate that would vibrate and sound like it's destroying every disc you ever put in it. There's a fix for that. I looked online, there's not a lot of threads about fixing the noisy disk drives on these, so that's definitely a video I want to do in the future. But I love this thing. It's not even close to getting full on the storage yet, and I mean, I have all of those games installed on it, and really the only thing that would really fill up the drive is updates and DLC. That's about it. Moving on, this is my PlayStation 4 Pro. I love this guy. This was the first PlayStation 4 Pro I ever bought. I actually got a really good deal on Amazon. I put a 2 terabyte hard drive in it, put the 1 terabyte in here. So it's a great little console. I love all of the different special edition Pros they did, so I want to try and get those. This is the PlayStation 2 Fat my girlfriend got me for my birthday one year, and I love it to death. I cherish it so much. And this is my Xbox One S that I fixed myself. What's funny about this console is that the HDMI port was bad, but it's got a 2 terabyte hard drive in it now, and it runs pretty good. But this is the only Xbox I have ever owned in my life, and the only reason why I own it is so I could play games with my friends. So there's some games that I own 2 copies of, one for the Xbox and one for the PlayStation, just so I could play with my friends. But yeah, that's really the only reason to buy an Xbox, I think. These bins below here pretty much are just like the Nintendo Zapper. These are all like my Nintendo stuff, Super Nintendo stuff, Wii stuff. This is my PlayStation 2 bin. I got like extra like third-party controllers in here. The multi-tap, my network adapter, all of that stuff are all in there. This is just kind of extra cables, so like extra, these are like power bricks for the Slims, extra AV cables, stuff like that. Oh, I guess on the side here, behind this box, there is a AV set that's already hooked up, so if I want to play my NES or Super NES, all I got to do is plug it in, plug in the power, and I'm pretty much set. I'm ready to go. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. One quick thing I need to do real quick is I need to announce the winners of the giveaway. I know this is kind of really late at this point, but the winners have been announced. I've already contacted you guys, so thanks for entering the giveaway. I actually didn't have as many people as what I was hoping, but that's okay. I'll probably do another one at some point. I just didn't really feel like doing another one right before the holiday. Mainly because a lot of it has to do with the shipping disaster. It was really hard to ship stuff at this point. So, but Brady, I believe that's how you pronounce that, won the PlayStation card, and I'm Torch won the Xbox One. So, like I said, I'll probably do another like gift card giveaway at some point. But you know, for now, you know, there wasn't that many that entered it, so you know, maybe the next one everybody will be like, oh man, I didn't realize it was that easy to win. I think there was probably 9 total across PlayStation and Xbox, so there was a pretty high chance of winning either. So but anyway guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.